स्वागत छ साथीहरु फेरि पनि मेरो युट्युब च्यानलमा। मैले दिउँसो म एउटा फुल मक टेस्ट अफिसियल पियर्सन PTE कै वेबसाइटबाट किनेको फुल मक टेस्ट थियो। 14th of May मा मैले एउटा दिएको थिएँ। त्यसको स्कोर चाहिँ यस्तो थियो। त्यसको स्कोर चाहिँ यस्तो थियो। मेरो 7 चाहिँ आएको थिएन। ओभरअलमा चाहिँ आयो 7 तर इच ब्यान्ड 7 चाहिँ आएको थिएन। फेरि त्यसकारणले मैले यो दुईटा लिसनिङ र रिडिङमा अलिकति प्र्याक्टिस गरेर फेरि पनि आज पर्सि चाहिँ मेरो फाइनल टेस्ट बुक गरेको छु। युनिभर्सिटी अफ ताजमानियामा गएर बाटो दिनुपर्ने छ। अहिले चाहिँ मैले यो मोक टेस्ट दिएको थिएँ, त्यसकारणले आफूले थाहा पाउनलाई कस्तो भएको छ मेरो भनेर त्यसको रिजल्ट आइसकेको छ। पहिला चाहिँ म आफ्नो मोक टेस्ट मैले आज दिउँसो दिएको मोक टेस्टको भिडियो पुरै राख्छु अनि त्यसपछि फाइनलमा चाहिँ म आफ्नो भिडियोको फाइनलमा चाहिँ म आफ्नो रिजल्ट देखाउँछु है त। ल अब जाउँ मोक टेस्टतिर। लेट्स स्टार्ट।
Extroverts tend to move quickly and try to influence situations directly, while introverts give themselves time to develop their insights before exposing them to the world. Extroverts are happy to make decisions, take events, while introverts reflect. Extroverts tend to move quickly and try to influence situations directly, while introverts give themselves time to develop their insights before exposing to the world. Extroverts are happy making decisions in the thick of events, while introverts want to reflect themselves before taking action. The purpose of informative speech is to provide interesting, useful, and unique information to your audience. By dedicating yourself to the goals of providing information and appealing to your audience, you can take a positive step towards succeeding in your efforts as an informative speaker. The purpose of informative speech is to provide interesting, useful, and unique information to your audience. By dedicating yourself to the goals of providing information and appealing to your audience, you can make a positive step towards succeeding in your efforts as an informative speaker. Most of us spend on average 1800 hours per year on our jobs, and will work for about 40 years before retirement. When you consider the amount of time spent in the office, you soon realize how important it is to feel a sense of achievement at the end of the day, rather than just meeting financial objectives. Most of us spend on average 1800 hours per year on our jobs and will work for about 40 years before retirement. When you consider the amount of time spent in the office, you soon realize how important it is to feel a sense of achievement at the end of the day, rather than just meeting financial objectives. Quite obviously, a significant rise in the number of people in a given area or country will affect the demand for a whole host of goods and services. Note that a change in the structure of the population will increase the demand for some goods but reduce the demand for others. Note that a change in the structure of the population will increase the demand for some goods, but quite obviously, a significant rise in the number of people in a given area or country will affect the demand for a whole host of goods and services. Note that a change in the structure of population will increase the demand for some goods but reduce the demand for others. With a population of only just over 30 million living in the world's second largest country, Canada. With a population of only just over 30 million living in the world's second largest country, Canada, is just renowned for vast tract of wilderness untroubled by pollution either from industry, intensive farming method, logging of Ontario. With a population of only just over 30 million living in the world's second largest country, Canada, is just renowned for vast tracts of wilderness untroubled by pollution either from industry or from intensive farming methods. A major conservation issue is the battle to stop the logging of virgin forest in northern Ontario and on the west coast. Yet this landscape, which appeared so alien and confronting to the white settlers and explorers, had been thousands of Indigenous Australians for whom the plains, range and deserts were a sustaining spiritual and integral part of their existence. Yet this landscape, which appeared so alien and confronting to the white settlers and explorers, had been home for thousands of years to Indigenous Australians, for whom the plains, ranges and deserts were a sustaining spiritual and integral part of their existence. The interludes which break up the gameplay action which because they can be made to a higher level of animation often provide the most visually arresting sequences of a game, combined with the taste of bizarrely complicated recursive explicatory dialogue. The interludes which break up the gameplay again, because they can be made to a higher level of animation, often provide the most visually arresting sequences of a game, combined with a taste of bizarrely complicated recursive plots and long sequences of wordy explicatory dialogue. This turns the game into a bit of drag.
The elephant is the largest living land mammal.
The elephant is the largest living mammal.
There are lots of opportunities to meet new people in this course.
There is lots of opportunities to meet new people in this course.
The computer crashed and I hadn't saved my work.
The computer crashed and I hadn't saved my work.
You must include your name and identity number on the registration form.
You must include your name and identity number in the registration form.
The main issue is to decide how we want to launch the new product.
The main issue is to decide how we want to launch the new product.
This paper is the best one to look at first.
This paper is the best one to look out first.
What's going on that can help patients leave their fears at the door?
What can help the patients to leave out their fear out of the door?
Inflation rose by 2% over this time last year.
Inflation rose by 2% over the time this year.
Applicants for the course should preferably have a degree in English or journalism.
Applicant of this course should have degree in journalism and English education. बिग्रियो.
After 1830, periodicals appeared in large numbers in America.
After 1830, periodicals appeared in large number in America.
Soil erosion can be caused by increased rainfall and changes in plant growth.
Soil erosion can be caused by increase in landfall and increase in deforestation. Oh my god, बिग्रियो के बिग्रियो 4 वटा जति बिग्रियो. रिपिट सेन्टेन्स एउटा रिड अलाउड. के छ? Volunteers who incurred expenses, reimbursement available. Postage, phone, training, travels, uniform, others. The image is mainly about volunteers who incurred expenses and also about reimbursement available and also about postage and phone calls and also about meals and training and also about travel cost and uniform and also about 0, 10, 20, 30 and also about 40%. Overall, the image is very informative. Thank you very much. Unemployment rate in 2007. Statistics, current population survey. Doctoral degree, master's degree, bachelor's, associate degree. Median weekly earnings. The image is mainly about education page and also about unemployment rate in 2007 and also about median weekly earnings in 2007 and also about doctoral degree and also about master's and bachelor's degree and also about associate degree and also about the Bureau of Labor Statistics and also about the current population survey. Overall, the image is very informative. Thank you very much. Comparison of the fundamental needs model. Status needs, stimulation needs, security, secure, security. The image is mainly about comparison of fundamental needs model and also about self-esteem needs and also about stimulation needs and security needs and also about the freedom from fear and also about food, water, shelter and warmth and also about friends, family and love and also about respect and recognition and also about creativity and fulfillment. Overall, the image is very informative. Thank you very much.
Coming out of the 19th century with all that happened, and so quickly, some of these ideas, some of these theories, like thermodynamics and kinetic theory, they didn't blend the way they should have. Thermodynamics has its roots in matter, how material things respond to heat and temperature and so forth. The laws of thermodynamics were thought to be absolute. Now take kinetic theory. If matter consists of atoms in random motion, and that's what matter is, then you open up the possibility that there will be fluctuations in samples of matter such that the laws of thermodynamics can momentarily be violated. Are the laws of thermodynamics valid? Absolute. Are they obeyed? Statistically. On average, they're obeyed, but they can be violated during unusual times, all right?
The audio is mainly about 19th century and also about ideas and theory and also about thermodynamics and matter and also about material things and heat and also about the laws of thermodynamics and kinetic theory and also about the random motion and sample of matters and also about the statistics and time. The audio was very informative. Thank you very much.
What is the term for the money people pay to the government to support public services?
Taxes. Tax.
What material is normally used to make windows and light bulbs?
Aluminium. Aluminium.
Who prepares and sells medicine in a shop or hospital?
Pharmacist.
Where on a college campus would a periodicals collection be located?
Student Service Center.
What is the inedible center of a peach, cherry or grape called?
Farm. Farming.
To find a detailed topographical map of Africa, what kind of reference book would be best to use?
World map. World map. Okay. That's it for now. के गर्ने त अब दुईटा शब्द लिने, दुईटा सेन्टेन्स लिने. दुईटा सेन्टेन्स भनेको यहाँ आई न्यू बाट यहाँसम्म लिँदा हुन्छ. ल. Half a lifetime ago. Half a lifetime ago. Speaking मेरो राम्रै भयो जस्तो छ हैन त? Not bad. 70 सम्म त आउँछ होला. स्पिकिङ को अरुबाट आउँदैन हैन? के गर्ने त भन्दा यस यहाँदेखि यहाँसम्म टोटल लेख्दिने. कपी गर्न मिल्दैन नि? कपी मिल्दो रहेछ त. कि यहाँ मात्र मिलेको? ल. यस्तो मिल्छ र कपी गर्न टेस्टमा? टेस्टमा? त्यही त यहाँ यसमा किन आएछ? समिलो क्या? अहिले देखो. Half a lifetime ago. अब यो सबै मिल्यो भने सबै फार्म कटेज. अहिले हेर्नुपर्छ ल. थोरै आएको थियो. born कति वर्ड भयो? 74 वर्ड. बढी भएन? 75 भन्दा तल आउनु पर्यो हैन? ल ठीक छ त्यसो भए मैले हान्दिए त. नेक्स्ट. अब एस्से लेख्नु पर्यो. एस्से को लागि त अझै मैले रट्टा मारेकै छैन. यहीबाट हेरेर लेख्छु. रट्टा मार्नु पर्ला. टेम्प्लेट युज गर्नु पर्यो हैन? In recent years, there has been a massive. के छ पहिला टपिक त पढ्नु पर्यो नि हैन? The means of communication in society, the means of communicating in society today has changed markedly over the last 10 years. In your opinion, what are the positive and negative impacts to this change? Okay. टेम्प्लेटसँग मेल खाइहाल्छ. Massive increase in the number of people claiming that the means copy के गर्नु, the means of communicating in society has changed. ल मैले स्पिकिङ त 18 मिनेटमै सिधाएछु त. छिटो सिद्धिँदो रहेछ स्पिकिङ. had changed markedly CHAN markedly over the last 10 years. Over the last 10 years. It's such there are both positive and negative impacts of this change. Although I find that its positive impacts outweigh the negative impacts. Say I will examine all the relevant facets on factual premises. There are several arguments to support this idea. First, most predominant one is that the means of communicating in society is that booming of social media platforms in last decade has made all the communication digital and fast. Communication has made all the communications is that booming of social media platforms in the last decade has made all the communication has digitalized गरौँ त digitalize the communication which is more fast and efficient. अब यति पोजिटिभ भइसकेपछि it certainly contributed to the fact that Control C that the means of communication has positive last 10 years. ल ठिक छ। त्यस पछाडि this writes it leads to a wide array of benefits in almost every sphere of life as well. Needless to say, all these upsides have positive impacts to the beneficiaries. However, an increasingly significant pitfall of this proposition is that there is a great risk of hacking the personal information using these through these platforms. That there is a great risk of hacking the personal information, TSRVG, these platforms. In addition to this, when one does not follow such a practice religiously, they cannot widen their horizon with much ease and comfort. Hence, it is apparent why many do not accept this notion. surface notion. From what has been discussed above, it can be arguably कतिवटा 254. In recent years, there has been a massive increase in the number of PEO/PLE people claiming that the means of communicating in society has as such, there are both positive and negative impacts of this change. Although I opine that its positive impacts outweighs together the negative impacts. In this essay, I will examine all the relevant facets on factual premises. There are arguments to support this idea. The most predominant one is that booming of social media platform in the last decade has digitalized the communication, which is faster and efficient, which is more efficient. It certainly contributed to the fact that the means of communicating in society had changed markedly. Besides could be capital. It leads to a wide array of benefits in almost every sphere of life as well. Benefits. Needless to say, all these upsides have positive impacts to the beneficiaries. Okay. However, an increasingly significant pitfall of this proposition is that there is a great risk of hacking the personal information through these platforms. Okay. Okay. In addition to this, when one does not follow such a practice religiously, they cannot together widen their horizon with much ease and comfort. Okay, hence H capital. Hence it is apparent why many do not accept this notion. Okay, From what has been discussed above, it can be arguably concluded that the means of communicating in the society has changed, and it has positive impacts in the society. Okay. Also, its effects are so great that they cannot be ignored easily. Okay. Finish the section. 34 in 34 minutes. Reading र speaking finish. No, writing र speaking. ल ठिक छ, अब रिडिङ गरौँ है त. कति 1 मिनेट गइसक्यो. The skills you will develop on this course. It will prepare you. We plan to provide you with the opportunity to hear about the work professionals who have been involved in the past. We have had confirmation that they will give talks on the subject. Firstly or especially to the peer group, and help you clarify potential future direction you might take in a career. There are also dedicated career services available at the university. You will be entitled to, which you will be entitled to use. This will include all written essays as well as group work, and you will be taught how to do these. Details of the assessment for each module will be explained in the first class. We plan to provide you with the opportunity to hear about the work of professors who have been involved in the past. We have had confirmation that they will give talks on their subjects, especially to your group, and help you clarify. Firstly to your group, and help you clarify potential future. I'll go with firstly. Alright, University of London team found that people who went with their initial response on a test of visual perception did better than those who were given more time to respond. Subconscious brain recognized a rotated version of the same symbol as different. The conscious brain responded that an apple is still an apple, whether rotated or not. Vision included picking out an animal in the symbols. Did better than those who were given more time to ponder. Subconscious rotated version of the same symbol is different. Therefore, conscious brain The researcher on the project the researchers on the had been concluded when the subjects have time to engage their higher level functions instead of they were more likely to be wrong. Okay, let's go. Thanks to the ability to hijack our connection, distraction, validation, smartphones have become some best-selling devices, and Apple have sold more than 1 billion iPhones since its launch. By one estimate, we spend an average of almost 5 hours a day at our little screen. Staring at our little focusing, viewing, observing, staring. Okay, the real figure is probably higher. A team of psychologists found that people tend to underestimate the time spent on their phone by about half, while just evaporating in the fog. That a relationship to our phone might be significantly intellectualized, might not be sufficiently intellectualized. Our phone might not be enough. That is why books comes as a relief. Like the pesticide merchant and iPhone is a way that makes it seem unpacks the history of iPhone in a way that makes it seem invisible in its online system. Either or, also and both. Invisible in its outline and surprising in its detail. Okay, both. In England, it is well known that access to university on average varies parent income and students from poor families across the different universities. That those with a weather background. However, the question of whether graduates earning vary. According to their social. However, the question of whether earning vary according to their social background. Almost graduates attending similar universities and taking the same subject has remained poorly understood. Amongst graduates attending similar universities and taking the same subject has remained poorly understood. Limited by data available. Hence, limited by data availability, poorly understood, because so much limited. Taking the same subject has remained poorly understood. Our unique administrative database offers sustainable advantage, substantial advantage in dealing, addressing. Advantage in addressing this question and dealing, focusing, address this crucial question. The findings are also relevant benefit from better information on corporation, institution, better information on institution variation, and choice of including student choice and institution. Better information for school, to help advise. Schools helped advice for help advice. Information for schools for help, to help advise, and so much, hence like that, hence. Okay, 12 मिनट गइसक्यो. In addressing, to address, in address, and dealing, this dealing. The research challenges that ongoing trend across the higher education of research challenges the ongoing trend across species of focusing on experiential learning, of focusing suggests that university need to reconsider their approach if they aim at increasing, if they are to, if they go to, if they hope for, aim at increase, if they aim at increase entrepreneurship, if they hope, aim for. Okay, researcher said, author of the study said entrepreneurship education is a major force capable of generating long-term results. Is seen as a major force. There is an ongoing shift towards experiential learning in business schools. Since there is little empirical evidence to suggest this approach has better impact. Since there is little empirical advance, yet there is little Next, learning to write well in college means relearning how to write clearly. Now, that doesn't mean that plainness is the only good style, or that you should become a victim, slave to. Formality and orderliness have their place, and hence complexity can carry us on or teaching with technical. What most of the time should to be sensible. Adverse and relative simple sentence conveying clear action and meaning. In faster makes arguments easier to follow. It increases the chance of the individual bother to pay attention, and it lets you pay more attention on the moment. According to the text, which of the following statement Denmark who lose their job apply to the people who lose their job? Denmark trained and look diligent as well. होइन भएको छैन 13 years later it's English placed the woods in the rails in the wheels. These primitive rails, the flank was grown. Roads of coal were being used in Germany. Roads of trail coal were being used in the Germany as early as 19. Okay. Our यसको लागि by iron has replaced the wood in the rails. These premier railroads wooden ल ठिक छ यो राम्रो छ वुडनलाई चाहिँ आइरनले रिप्लेस गर्यो रिप्लेस गरिसके पछाडी the flank was a groove that allowed the grip the rail better and design feature used by later locomotives. 13 years later Englishman designed flank wheels ल flank wheels गर्यो यो फ्ल्याङले चाहिँ यस्तो गर्यो. नेक्स्ट, these early these भनेपछि भएन. My study of the history of religion has revealed that the human beings are spiritual, and indeed there is a case for arguing that Homo sapiens is also homo religious. Men and women started to worship God as soon as they became recognizably human. They exhibited religious belief at the same time as they created works of art. This is not simply because, okay. So these and these. So यो माथि कि त्यो माथि, men and women started to worship. General term. Indeed, there is a case of arguing that human beings, animals, my study will go over, men and women will be here. This is not simply because they wanted to powerful forces they are doing. These early faiths express the wonder and mystery. These early faiths express the wonder and mystery that seem always to have an essential component of the human experience. Beautiful yet terrifying world. This was not simply because they wanted to powerful force and they observed in their world. Okay. अब मसँग 12 मिनेट बाँकी छ. Finally, the study was with the students who were enrolled in lower level classes. Finally, this study was dedicated. Anywhere here? Become report. Was report with was conducted. Okay, conducted. Study was conducted. Performed. Oh, research is conducted. Study is performed. No, study is conducted. Yeah. Future research may the findings of this study with other college students may re-explore the findings of this study with other college students and upper level. May become, may determine, may report the findings with other. No. Remain, performed. No. May conduct, re-explore. This would help if expectations, perceptions to determine if students' perceptions remain constant or changed. Okay, this is easy. I think. Okay, done. Have risen through the ranks to be. Okay, have graduates have risen through the ranks to be. Apparently successfully to be appointed, ranks to be rewarded, ranks to be rewarded associates at the leading to be appointed associates. To be appointed associates at the leading Western Sydney law firm. The promotion marks the culmination of many years, challenge of many years of hard work. Culmination, challenge of many years, marks the challenge of many years of hard work. Marks the challenge of many years of hard work for these legal eagles who are the first to rise. This promotion. Risen through the rank to be rewarded. Graduates have successfully risen through the ranks to be rewarded. Associates rewarded, appointed. Associates at the leading the promotion marks of many years of hard work. These eagles who are first to rise to this challenge from the cadet lawyer program. This challenge from the Okay. Australia is a dynamic, multicultural society viewed by many as the world's most desirable place to live. Here, Franco trains Australians and write history to how this society and also tries and alters convict to the strong links to the colonial past, but is independent and diverse. Okay. To examine British convict on that increasingly strong links with its colonial past, but is next. Minister demand for help to cope with the pressure. Staffing systems to run, but there has not been a growth in to support and control it. In the framework for ministerial staff is if the voice of an animal is not heard as message but as art, interesting things start to happen. Nature is no longer an alien, but instead something beautiful. Alien, and exuberant, with space for us to join in. World melodies have always been songs for wonder region, for a region. For a region. No longer alien, propensity, enigma, discordant. Read the text. Only one response is correct. This information is mainly about infection control procedures, removing clutters, dealing with health staff and patient laundering. ल यो पनि भयो है अब मेरो लिसनिङ बाँकी listening.
For many people, language acquisition starts at around about 12 months when kids say their first word, but don't forget the first year. That first year of life is very important as well, and indeed before you're born, remember, there are a couple of months before you're born when you're actually able to perceive in the womb something of the language that's around you. So language acquisition starts earlier than most people think. And it also ends later than most people think. When does child language acquisition stop? Well, in a sense, you know, we're all children. We stay being children all our lives. There's no obvious end point. For learning sounds, of course, there is, and for learning grammar, there is. But vocabulary, I mean, that goes on for the rest of our lives. 1 million or more words in English, and most of us only have a vocabulary of 50, 60, 70,000 words or whatever it is. And so there's always something more to learn. So remember that the two ends of child language acquisition are wider apart than some people think. And that means there's more scope for studying it than most people think.
Okay, let's go. About children's language acquisition. Children's language learning. Finally, the lecture was concluded stating about the scope of study. Next.
In his book, The Man Who Mistook His Wife for a Hat and Other Clinical Tales, neurologist Oliver Sacks relates the tale of a medical student who one day woke up and found that his sense of smell was so acute that like a dog he could walk around identifying people, places, and things by his sense of smell. And what a wondrous experience it was. Like a visit to another world, he said. And normally we humans don't have a sense of smell as acute as many other animals. We tend to rely more on what we see or hear to tell us about the world. Still, our sense of smell is powerful. Most of us can detect 10,000 different odors, from cigar smoke to a chlorinated swimming pool, from curry to a city sewer. And think about how a particular odor can instantly conjure up past memories. Maybe it's fresh-cut grass that makes you think of childhood summers, or baking bread that reminds you of a special holiday.
Experimental psychological research is conducted in a lab under controlled conditions. It attempts to rely solely on an application of research methods to understand behavior and mental processes. As an example of a psychological experiment, you might want to investigate people's perception of different tones. Specifically, you could ask the following question. Is it easier for people to discriminate one pair of tones from another depending on their frequency? To answer this, you would want to disprove the hypothesis that all tones are equally easy to discriminate.
Behavior. B-I-O-U-R. Behavior. Image of
Graham Greene may have inadvertently supplied one of the key phrases of the past 50 years in the title of his novel, A Burnt-Out Case. The image of a dead fire perfectly fit the psychological aftermath of long hours, dashed hopes, and depression. And while burnout is not a medical diagnosis, it describes a condition we all recognize, except perhaps in ourselves.
dead fire perfectly fit after our depression.
Well, the banana is the first cultivated fruit. It's one of the food items that literally brought people out of the jungle, out of their hunter-gatherer lifestyles, and was there at the dawn of agriculture, which is what helped force human beings into communities. It's really one of the things that helped invent human culture. It's about 7,000 years of history. And the banana, from its center of origin, which is believed to be Papua New Guinea, it spread out with people who traveled in boats across the Pacific into the mainland of Asia and all the way south to Australia, across Indonesia, Micronesia, and eventually they moved as far as Africa and even possibly to Ecuador, all in this time and all on paddled boats and wind-driven boats.
Pedal. Pedal को spelling PTE. Pedal. 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 त्यो हुन्छ कि PADDL हुन्छ ल ठिकै छ केही भएन ब्रड को स्पेलिङ BRODGSE ब्रड डन DAWN into community origin त्यही हुन्छ PADDL हुन्छ origin PADDL pedal ल यो पनि भयो के हो यो प्याराग्राफ
In the United States, the poet Walt Whitman published a work called Democratic Vistas. This was in 1871, and I quote from that work. He's talking here about the development of a program of culture drawn out, not for a single class alone, or for the parlors or lecture rooms, but with an eye to the practical life and to the West, the working man, the facts and forms and jack planes and engines, of the broad range of the woman also, of the middle class and working strata, and with reference to the perfect equal quality of women and of a grand and powerful motherhood. So these ideas of the individual, the ordinary individual, as someone who has a right and a responsibility to an education, had begun clearly to emerge in the United States.
So starting with a question why industrial cities matter. Well, in 1995 and 6, funded by the Joseph Rowntree Foundation, I did a study with a fellow researcher called The Slow Death of Great Cities. And that was because urban abandonment in America was happening on such a scale and causing such terror over here that when cities like Manchester and Newcastle started to show signs of empty properties emerging in their city streets, in their inner city streets, there was kind of quite serious panic. So that was my first exposure to what happens when cities start losing population in a significant way.
and we identified 15 priority projects which are supposed to be urgent and immediate needs of adaptation. And these projects, the first one is slightly being implemented, but there is so much bureaucracy behind the funding of that project that it still hasn't been implemented properly. So if these were urgent and immediate needs, then how come it's not being implemented on an urgent and immediate basis? Because the fund is not there. Even if the fund is there, some bureaucratic things are holding it behind. There are some...
The person who visited his school as being a visionary, he is being.
When I was 14 years old, a visionary visited my school. The man was a pioneer in new technologies, and he had come to announce how the world I was growing up in was on the verge of radical change. He brandished a VHS cassette and announced that television was going to be transformed forever. Using the power of VHS, everyone would make their own TV programs. Instead of accepting the bland output of comedy and drama from the existing networks, we would simply take control ourselves and become producers as well as consumers. TV stations were going to close, corporations would fold, and a new wave of creativity was about to be unleashed. To me, at that age, it seemed like impeccable logic, and the scenario he described seemed inevitable. Over the following years, it became clear that what he had predicted was certainly not coming true, and I began to think of him as an idiot.
The neuroendocrine system is under particular onslaught in our modern life. Not only does it serve as the conduit for our emotional life, but it is also under threat from our external environment. The amount of chemicals acting as so-called endocrine disruptors is going up by the day. These chemicals, which range from pesticides and herbicides to ingredients of plastics, which look chemically like some of the hormones in our bodies, can then bind to the receptor and cause a stimulation of the receptor, or block it so that the appropriate hormone cannot
Logistics is really orchestrating what we now call globalization. Companies have outsourced and offshored many of their operations. In fact, some of them, almost their entire operations. And what's come to be called supply chain management, which is the strategic end of this business, is what knits it all together. It is what makes sure that things turn up where they should be, when they should be. And by squeezing costs out of the system, you don't carry so much stock, you don't need to have the warehouses of old, and you can move things faster and
River systems can be classified by their basic shapes. Young streams are generally straight, are in narrow, steep-sided valleys, and are often fast-flowing in a channel with many big rocks. Young streams have high gradients, meaning the elevation of the stream changes quickly with distance. Old rivers are in broad, flat valleys. They flow slowly and carry sand and mud. Old streams, like the lower part of the Mississippi River, have very low gradients. That is, the elevation changes very little over long distances.
Over half of patients had what we called the no symptoms, no asthma health belief. They thought about and managed their asthma as an acute episodic illness, the way someone would treat a cold or a flu. They felt when they had their wheezing or shortness of breath, that's when they had their asthma, and it made perfect sense for them to use their quick relief medicines and their chronic controller medicines then. But once they started feeling better, they'd felt there was no reason for using those medicines because they felt okay.
Okay, writing dictation.
It is absolutely vital that you acknowledge all your sources.
It is absolutely vital that you acknowledge all your resources, 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 sources, all the. It is absolutely vital that you acknowledge
In any written assignment, a detailed literature review is very important.
in any written WRITEN assignment.
Control systems in manufacturing provide a high level of accuracy.
Control systems in manufacturing provides the high level of accuracy, levels of accuracy. ल साथीहरु, यो मोक टेस्ट सबै भइसके पछाडी अब चाहिँ मेरो रिजल्ट हेरौँ है त। रिजल्ट चाहिँ यस्तो, रिजल्ट चाहिँ 75 आयो। अस्तिको मोक टेस्टमा 67 आएको थियो। कति 14th मा दिएको थियो, अहिले आज चाहिँ 18th मा दिँदाखेरि चाहिँ 4 दिनमा मेरो स्कोर चाहिँ यसरी बढ्यो। यसरी बढेर राइटिङमा त 8 नै आयो, स्पिकिङमा पनि 8 नै आयो, रिडिङ र लिसनिङमा अझै पनि मेरो कम छ। यो दुईटामा राम्रो गरेको भए त 8 पनि आउँदो रहेछ। तर मलाई चाहिएको 6 मात्रै हो। म एक्सपेरिमेन्ट गरिरहेको छु, मलाई कतिसम्म चाहिँ आउँदो रहेछ एक हप्ता प्र्याक्टिस गरेर भनेर। केही स्ट्र्याटेजीहरू पनि छ। मेरो फाइनल एक्जाम चाहिँ स्याटरडे छ। त्यस पछाडी मेरो रिजल्ट के आउँदो रहेछ त्यो पनि म शेयर गर्छु सबैलाई। अनि केही टिप्स एन्ड ट्रिक्सहरू मैले लगाइरहेको छु, यो युट्युबबाट हेरेर केही वेबसाइटहरुमा गएर टेस्ट पनि गरे। मक टेस्टहरू अरूमा चाहिँ यस्तो राम्रो स्कोर आउँदैन, फेरि अरू वेबसाइटहरुमा PTE रियल PTE मा गरिदिएको त्यसमा पनि राम्रो आएन। आउन चाहिँ एपीयुनीमा दिँदाखेरि पनि राम्रो आएन। तर यो अफिसियलमा दिउँ न भनेर त्यो स्ट्र्याटेजीहरू के युज गर्दाखेरि कस्तो आउँदो रहेछ मार्क्स भनेर हेर्दाखेरि चाहिँ यस्तो आयो। अब मैले लिसनिङ र रिडिङमा अलिकति मेहनत गर्छु। आज साँझ भइसक्यो, भोलिको दिन एक दिन छ मलाई पढ्नुपर्ने। यसो हेर्छु अनि त्यस पछाडी म फाइनलको रिजल्ट चाहिँ तपाईहरुसँग शेयर गर्छु है त। धन्यवाद।